VGK wins its eighth in a row and records its first ever victory in Toronto. Chris checked in with Laurent Brossoit's second start with HSK and is season 6 reminiscent of the Golden Knights' first season.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That's all coming up ahead right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Locked On VGK is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on Twitter at Locked On VGK, at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G. And make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel Locked On VGK. And Chris, Reilly Smith, who hails from Toronto, scored twice in the game last night, 23 seconds into overtime on a helper from Zach Whitecloud. And the win streak now is extended to 8 straight. So as we talked about yesterday, VGK was working on the penalty kill, right, on the PK, and perhaps they worked on breakouts as a result of that and all of their work and their efforts. And then Smith's first goal came shorthanded on a helper from William Karlsson that tied the game up with about 8 minutes to go. And let's talk first of all about Reilly Smith. He played in his 700th career game last night, and he has back-to-back multiple-point games for the first time in his career.
I believe him and Alec Martinez both played in their 700th last night, so it's kind of cool how the stars aligned for that. And Reilly Smith is someone that we talked about last year, hoping to take a step forward on the scoring side of things, and unfortunately, he did miss quite some time last season. And another big issue with as to why they didn't miss the playoffs, obviously not having Reilly Smith. And now we're reaping the rewards of what a healthy, motivated, and driven Reilly Smith can do. Didn't have a contract, still puts on the softball game. The announcement comes before the softball game, but point being is he is committed to the city. He is committed to doing everything he can to stay a Vegas Golden Knight. And when you see a performance like this, it's exciting. And another, not a new player stepping up, but just every night there seems to be one player just kind of carrying the mail. And I don't think this is going to be his only back-to-back multi-point performance of the season.
Yeah, now they're fired up. They took the bus to Buffalo last night following the game. And again, Jack Eichel week is here, so that should be exciting. And we'll obviously live up to all this hype here on our end as they head into that rematch against Buffalo. On the Toronto feed last night, they called the Misfits the triplets. But Reilly Smith said 5 of 6 breakaways they had in that contest last night, and they finally thought that they could score, and they had that opportunity to steal by Willie Karlsson, and then, of course, the finish there by Reilly Smith. And they were just they're clicking on all cylinders right now. VGK opened the scoring last night. They opened that scoring with the Carrier goal, his fourth. I'm sorry. Carrier passed the puck in front, should have been credited with the goal. Nick Waugh had the easy gimme right there in the tap-in in front, and it was the fourth goal for Nick Waugh last night. Can you talk about that line's efforts?
I mean, what's there to say? We mentioned, I think, in the show yesterday, the fourth line is scoring now. We would again, the fourth line's job, energy, try to keep the puck out of defensive zone and be tough to play against. Sometimes you wear down the other team's top line. I think this is the second opening shift goal of the season for the fourth line, if I'm not mistaken. But even when they don't score early, they seem to get early opportunities, and immediately the team is, the opposition is on their heels. And again, this is a drum we're going to keep on beating, coming out of Pete DeBoer's camp last year when he was all giddy about this line 4. I mean, maybe DeBoer had good reason to be excited about line 4, because things are working very well when line 4 is doing their job. And it's not just about scoring and stuff like that, just tough to play against, take away ice, make the other players earn every inch when they're out there. and it's fun, right? They're the guys out there smiling, hitting each other on the bench. Hey, let's go pick up so and so. We got to get him. Hey, take that number. Go get him later for doing what he did and stuff like that. It's fun right now. Everything is fun right now. I mean, it's hard not to be happy about 8 wins in a row. I was in the press box, kind of sweating the end of the game, and like, oh wow. So it's I didn't want to say 7 outs as far as the winning streak goes, and we hit our 8. So let's see if we can make a point of 9, and for my gamblers, let's see if we can make a fire bet and get all the way to 12.
Okay, I've got
Actually, that
another
would be a different bet, but never mind.
Yeah, it's a different bet entirely. But I do have a clarification as well on the equalizer for Reilly Smith. We have to give credit to Shea Weber on the assist. So he was the second star, in my opinion, last night. Did you see the graphic on AT&T Sportsnet?
No, I want to know where you're going with this. So that's why you got the hand, Tony.
Shea Weber got the assist on the graphic that they put up.
Oh, they put that up there?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty.
I fell over laughing, and I also made Shea Weber the second star behind Reilly Smith. Well deserved on the LTIR. Tom Liljegren had tied that game up there, but then he also turned over the puck later on. That led to the Jack Eichel goal. Jack is on fire, 6th goal of the season. Marner and Liljegren scored again in that game in the second period. Again, still that lull in the second period. 3-2, the Leafs had led. And what had happened there was VGK, it's the first time we talked about their legs and whether they had them under them. It wasn't about the cumulative effect, but rather they were on the ice for too long in their shifts, and they just couldn't make that line change. And so I think you had Waugh, Haig, and Whitecloud playing over 2 minutes. And then that's when we saw Toronto capitalize. So they just couldn't get off the ice. There was 2 times where they couldn't make the shift change last night, and it cost them.
Yeah, they got caught. I actually heard that when I was driving over to the Dollar Loan Center, and I had the Toronto feed on in the car. I didn't get the graphic, though, unfortunately, but I had the Toronto feed on in the car as I was driving to Dollar Loan Center, right? And it just, you felt it's when you see the other team cycling and moving the puck and your team caught out there for a long time, for a long shift, more times than not, one of 2 things is going to happen. 1, you're going to take a penalty, or 2, you're going to get scored on. And I'm just listening. I'm like, okay, it's coming. There it is, and it happens. I mean, no aspect of the game is going to be perfect. The second period has been far from perfect. If there's one, special teams and the second period are the areas of opportunity for this team right now. But they're excelling in other areas of the game, whether it's just simply 5-on-5, or, if there's a way to measure heart and soul and determination for stealing. I mean, you can make an argument. The Montreal game was pretty well in hand after the first period, it seemed like, but the other games could have gone either way, and obviously including last night's game. And, basically Washington, who they play Thursday. I can't remember that game now.
Montreal, Washington,
the Thursday
Senators,
Senators, yeah, the Senators, and then last night's game against Toronto. 3 out of 4 of these games could have gone the other way, and they found a way to get 6 points in those games that could have swung, and that's the difference. It seems like VGK right now is understanding the importance of every single point right now. And I mean, 6 points, you take away 6 points from last year's team, and they're dead in the water with 3 weeks to go in the season. So that's 6 points that we basically stole on this road trip. We're up to 8 points now. When you said 6 points,
I said 6. You said 5.5.
I said 5 is a good trip given the nature, and we're at 8 against probably the I'm thinking of the schedule right now. This is the one that's circled as far as a road game goes. This is the game that is circled as far as everyone wants to play for Jack in this game. Eichel, he wants to win this game bad. He wants to, I don't want to say stick it to Buffalo, because I think he's kind of over it, but if he walked away with the first star and 2 goals or even a Hattie or something like that, he'd love it.
And if Shea Weber gets 1 or 2 assists in that game, they'll be really well off. And Liljegren's first goal, we might have to add as well. We thought perhaps it could be offside. They didn't have a conclusive replay on that one. But of course, that goal would never be overturned because they played in Toronto, and the Toronto Situation Room is right next door. So there's no way. This schedule, okay,
You always find a way, Tony. You always find a way to get something in there. You always do.
I just have to slide it in there. But okay, they're playing a schedule here. It is difficult to win on the road, granted, but I'm always devil's advocate.
No, you're just the devil.
The toughest game was Toronto, which was a third place team, but they played a sixth place team, seventh place team, an eighth place team. They'll play a fifth place team.
The fix is in, Tony. It's the fix. It has to be, right?
They are definitely playing. Yeah, they're playing with house money, as they say, right now. So you just need to continue it. And yes, you can gain momentum and play the more elite teams later on. I wanted to talk. Okay, I have to make sure that I make a correction too in the goaltender's pronunciation. It's Eric Shalgren, okay, because he's Swedish and they pronounce their names differently. But he faced just 20 shots. But quality shots for the Vegas Golden Knights last night. Logan Thompson, we felt, could face more than that first meeting where he faced 23 shots on net, 31 last night. And he, again, just plays very well with everything on the line, including Chris, the stoppage of a 90-mile-an-hour Austin Matthews slap shot.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Matthews, world. I was trying to find here. Someone absolutely roasted you. I forgot who. I mean, it happens frequently, but someone took a great shot at you. I was trying to find who it was, just with some of the.
Was it on Twitter?
It was on. Yeah, no, it was on Twitter, not YouTube, where they roast you all the time. Twitter, where they roast you some of the time. And I was trying to find.
Doing my job. I'm doing my job because I'm.
Oh, it's fun. We have fun.
I have such a good time with this. Hey, yeah, go ahead. No, I was going to ask you about minutes reduced for Michael Amadio. Played just 8 minutes last night. Phil Kessel just 11.5 minutes.
The balance is out the window come game 15, huh?
So what?
Neither one of them are on really. Well, Kessel's still getting, I believe, power play time. Amadio's not getting power play time. Probably not getting.
He just
much
comes in to
time.
commit a penalty, and then that's it. They put him back on the bench. I mean, he just has a tripping his nightly tripping penalty.
Right. Yeah. No, I wouldn't. I don't know how much I draw into that. Just it's these things happen as far as quirks and minutes per game goes. And in the third, they probably shortened the bench up a little bit because line 3 has not been putting the puck in the net. They're not playing bad, but they're not producing at line 1, 2s, or 4s level now. Go figure to that. So it's going to come and go. Kessel's going to find the net. Amadio and Howden are going to find ways to produce. But right now, it's line 3 is always going to be that line, Tony. We've talked about this so many times, and it's not a Vegas Golden Knights thing. It's every team. Most teams are going to have an issue trying to get a good line 3 out there because line 1 and 2 is where the money is. Line 4 is where the grid is. What's left for line 3? And it's basically low-level salary lottery tickets, not low-level players necessarily. Kessel's not a low-level player, but his salary along with Howden and Kessel, Howden and Amadio, that's not the money line. That is not the money line.
It's not the triplet line either. And no. The defenseman blocked 10 shots, 3 for Martinez. Jack Eichel, 2 shots. He scored on the first one. The second one was a high danger shot, again, deflected by Engvall, I think, in front of the net. 14 goals in 19 games in Toronto. He pretty much owns that franchise, and his first game back there since 2019. And again, Jack Eichel is doing Jack Eichel things, but he's just 2 shots on net, but those were both really high quality shots. And you got to credit Toronto for playing well enough defensively. I said there wouldn't be much space. Space opened up at times, and Reilly Smith did talk about those 5 or 6 breakaways. A lot of turnovers and sloppiness for the Maple Leafs last night. But Jack Eichel, again, just a couple of shots, but one went in, the other one had a chance.
Jack Eichel doesn't need to force it. I think that's the important thing. He's not with Buffalo anymore. And I'm not knocking Buffalo. I'm simply saying Buffalo was Jack Eichel, hat trick, or Jack Eichel is going to have, or the Sabres are going to have a hard time winning a game. It wasn't that bad. But point being is Jack Eichel had to put the pressure of, being the guy, the only guy that could do it in Buffalo for such a long time. And there are times and periods of time where he was that person. He did an amazing job, but not having that support. 2 shots, fine. 1 goal, 1 quality shot. That's great. but he's creating space for the other players. Him simply being out there is drawing attention away from Stone, from Stevenson, giving them their space and time to do things. So, Jack Eichel just simply being good, Jack Eichel being in position is helping the rest of the team, and he doesn't need to force it. And I think that's a breath of fresh air for Jack Eichel, as 8 in a row, folks. What else can you say? 8 in a row.
They head to Buffalo now. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we'll do a crossover with Joe DiBiase from Locked On Sabres and WGR Radio back there in Buffalo. And that ought to be a lot of fun, as tomorrow night's the big game coming up in Buffalo. And last night, the Bluebirds came out at last night's Silver Knights game in the American. We'll talk about that. Chris was there, and much, much more on the way. And later on, is this season reminiscent of season 1 for the VGK? All ahead, Locked On Golden Knights. Can we pause the pod for a second? Okay, we're paused. We are paused. Great, because you got to try this. I'm talking about Built Bar's new reimagined flavors. The new flavors, cookie dough topper. How come we didn't get a care package this week? I saw some other photos out there. Did you get a care package, Chris?
Got a careless package?
No, we need some more Built Bars. Send Built Bars. Coconut brownie bars. They've got now coconut brownie topper, white chocolate peppermint granola. Holy smokes. It's built to take on the granola bar, so it's more filling. It is still insanely tasty. And candy cane brownie is another one that's out there. The puffs, Built Puffs, are like biting into the universe's most delicious cloud. And first off, for anyone who hasn't tried Built Bars before, they're literally the best tasting protein bar ever. They're revolutionizing nutrition as we know it. 100% real chocolate, 17 grams of protein, and shockingly low sugar and calories. 130 calories. That's it. Just sink your teeth into the first bite. It'll change your life forever. I'm not kidding. There will be a time before you tried these new Built flavors and the magical, wonderful time afterwards. So we've got an offer for you, and make sure also that you try out their mixed bar box, because you could have all 5 of those flavors together. Go right now to built.com. You can get 15% off your order right now by using the code LOCKEDON15 at built.com. Once again, that's LOCKEDON15 at built.com for 15% off. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick in Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. And please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On VGK. And so, Chris, last night you were there, the Silver Knights. You attended the game. We saw you tweet that the Bluebirds came out. We saw your video. Things are not doing so well there on Green Valley Parkway for the Silver Knights. Not going very well. And Laurent Brossoit, it was his second start. They lost the game. I think you tweeted 7-0. Henderson did, and Brossoit was pulled after the first period. What happened?
Yeah, so sorry, kids are throwing things over there. Reminiscent of the game last night. It was bad, Tony. It was bad. So you know me, folks. I'm always trying to be the positive one, but it was really hard last night. Bad first period, right? 4 goals, I think, on 14 shots, but he was under siege from the word go. I was actually tweeting early on that he looked tall in the net. He was trying to fight through the screens, finding ways to have pucks hit him. He did finally make a series of saves that he shouldn't have. So I stated that when he had his first start and asked Coach Vivros yesterday morning about it. Vivros felt he had a great game. He made the saves he should have, and the saves that he didn't, he was just hung out to dry. Brossoit wanted to play last night's game. That was basically his call going into the net last night. And of course, they're going to let him because they want to see him out there. And there were a few scouts in the seats last night, too. I can safely say that, watching basically him, I would have to assume. And the goals that he let in, again, just odd man rushes, traffic in front of the net. Every one of them, besides maybe every one of them is on the Twitter. You can go and judge for yourself if those were good goals, bad goals, or otherwise. Now, I was talking to one of the scouts, not going to say which one, but I was talking to one of the scouts, and I found him after the first. And I said, listen, when you're watching a game like this from your perspective, you feel that, he's kind of just being hung out to dry right now. Was it a good period, or what's your just quick evaluation? He just shook his head and said it's not going well, and I kind of gave him a second. He said it's just not going well. So that tells me right there that when you're watching the game, you're looking possibly to give a report to your GM and your coach about the goaltender. It was not a favorable vote of confidence for Brossoit. And I certainly concede that he was under siege and stuff like that. But, we're talking about an NHL goalie who has to find ways to make saves that he shouldn't. Now, going to the press conference with the Coach Vivros after the game, I felt so bad for him. I try to stay human in all of this. I don't take what I do too seriously, and I try to stay human. And Vivros, took full accountability. He stated he didn't have the team prepared for the game. That's on him. He's going to be honest with the players. I did ask him, why did Brossoit get pulled in the conditioning starts? And he said leaving him out there would basically be throwing him to the wolves. And it's fair. There's nothing more Brossoit could have got out of that game besides just getting shelled. And do you want him getting hurt or re-injured in a game like that? No, he got his game speed. Now VGK is going to have to make whatever decision they're going to have to make. All around bad. Brisson is out due to injury day to day. Should be back for Thursday's game per Coach V. Dorofeev is going to be out for some time right now. That's unfortunate. That's a big part of their scoring touch, but it's just bad right now, Tony. It's bad. The vibe isn't good. The Boo Birds were out, and the chirps were bad. I mean, there was a couple of guys. They were probably on some liquid encouragement, but they were in the corner right behind Patera in the third. Patera plays the puck behind the net. No one's around. These two guys, they're just pounding the glass. Just take it yourself. Just take it yourself. Go. You got this. You're the only one. And it was fun. It was good spirit. But shout out to the Silver Knights for the hospitality last night and having me. A lot of fun, and I can go back, it seems like, whenever I want, and I want to participate in more of the pressers and the games. And I really want to help not just talk about the game and what's happening, but just kind of show the entertainment package that goes along with the game for those that haven't been to a Silver Knights game. They're a lot of fun. Tickets are very inexpensive. You can get them $10 day a game, no questions asked, on the Access app right now. And it's affordable and a little more family, fun and entertainment versus going down to T-Mobile and dropping $300 or $400 for a party of 3 or 4 to go see a game.
Please stop sending me those videos of the town crier.
Oh, Tony, you stop it.
You two are becoming besties.
He's a good guy. He's doing his job, Tony.
So you were on the Zoom call yesterday, and then you went to the game and then the post-game presser. So what have you learned about this franchise, and how can they turn things around? Because it feels right now like it's a sinking ship. And do you feel, I could sense just in those videos alone that Coach Vivros is you talked about being under siege. I mean, I think he's under fire right now, and I just don't like where this is headed.
I was talking to a higher person after the game off the record, and
so then you can't talk about it.
Well, we both did concede that, we felt this was a better roster.
But that's off the record.
It's off the record.
No, go ahead. So no, it's a much better roster than
it's a Calder. It felt like winning. a Calder Cup competing roster, and it still can be. I mean, these things, St. Louis Blues a few years ago, folks, January last place, June having a Stanley Cup parade in downtown St. Louis. So these things do turn themselves around, and they find a way. And it starts with now, to also be fair, unfortunately for Coach Vivros, but the coach was fired and a new coach was brought in. That did lead him to the Stanley Cup. I hope it doesn't turn out like that, because Coach Vivros does a lot more than just simply running the Silver Knights. He runs the rookie camps over the summer. He's on the ice for a lot of the practices over the summer. So it's not just about what the Silver Knights are doing. I had an up and back with someone on Twitter. I had so many notifications, I can't remember who. Apologies, but I formed the question: if things are going well at the national level, if things are going well at the national level, does it matter what's happening at the AHL level? Because it's all part of the cycle, right? There are players that have gone through the AHL system that are contributing at the NHL level right now, and there could be just simply a bit of a talent gap, because this is where drafting and trading those draft picks comes in. There's not a lot of newer players on the roster that have been developing at this high level for a while. So 2 or 3 years down the road, some of these players that are currently playing for the Silver Knights might be more farther along the talent pipeline. But right now, there might be that gap right now. And it's a give and take. It's all not going to go perfect 100% of the time. It doesn't go perfect for the Vegas Golden Knights we saw last year, but perhaps the Vegas Golden Knights are simply succeeding based on not because the Silver Knights aren't succeeding, but it's just part of the process, right? It's just part of the process. And listen, if the Vegas Golden Knights do make a deep run, make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, or even win a Stanley Cup this year, which they are now easily in that conversation, no questions asked, they are a Stanley Cup contender, possible favorite now based on the early part of the season. If the Silver Knights do have a poor season and go 17-49 or whatever the number works out to be, I think they play a 56-game season. But if the Golden Knights do make a deep run, the process is working. And there will be times down the road the Vegas Golden Knights will not be a playoff team from the word go, but the Silver Knights might make that deep Calder Cup run too. It's part of the process, folks.
You have to win here in Las Vegas and in Henderson as well. And the cynics might say that they are not developing the younger players. I saw a lot of those tweets, and the fans are getting frustrated as well.
It's totally fair, Tony. And Brossoit, I think 2 goals, 1 is your 2 goals, 1 or 2 goals, 3 assists. And he's someone we thought that would crack the NHL roster and put up, 10, 15, even 20 goals. I mean, there was a shot he was going to even join the team after finishing his college career last year and possibly helping at the national level. And he's a ways away. Dorofeyev, it's unfortunate that he's hurt right now because he does have a great scoring touch right now. And there's some positive things happening individually. But I mean, last night, I felt like there was only one player that didn't give up on the ice, and that was Marino, our fourth line grinder. He was battling in front of the net, hitting everything that moved. Jermaine Lowen was trying to get it going, but he was up on the third line last night. That's not a good spot for him, at least not at this point in his career. And, maybe it will be down the road, but right now he's better in that energy role, just crushing everything that moves. And, it's bad right now, but they got a 4-game road trip coming up right now. So that's the important thing. And one more thing to note, folks, the 2-7 Silver Knights last night, they were 2-7 entering that game. You would think the way they got beat, they were going up against like a powerhouse type AHL team. No, the San Diego Gulls were 3 or Silver Knights were 2-9,
2-8,
2-8, 2-9 now. The Gulls were 3-7 or 3-8 coming into that game. So if that's the talent gap between 2-8 to 3-7 or whatever it is, they got to figure something out.
Things are rough at home when Coach Manny Viveros said after the game, and I don't know, it might have been one of your questions, but he just said he's going to be happy to get on the road with his team.
Oh, that was Steve. That was Steve Marsh behind me that was talking about that. And yeah, I mean, they got to get out of Dodge right now. It's a good thing to get on the road and get out of here. And, they might take some of the pressure off, bonding on the road, on a long road trip. I mean, that's always something you hear at the national or the American League level. And, it's, listen, whatever they can find, when I was talking to Lowen after the game, I was trying to find positive things. I was trying to, where's the positivity come from? And you're getting the cliche answers right now. Call it what it is. You're getting the cliche answers. Got to do the little things right. Positivity comes from within. It's all Clicheville right now. It's Clicheville in Henderson on Green Valley Parkway, and they got to get on the exit ramp and get on to Resultsville.
I go through the Paseo Verde side when I sneak in.
So do I actually. I was in the gold lot last night though. I was in the nice lot last night.
Very nice. Very nice. Coming up next, season 1 vibes and season 6. We'll explain after this on Locked On Golden Knights. Thanks for making Locked On Golden Knights your first listen. For your second listen, make sure to check out Locked On Sports Today. That podcast, biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So, Chris, you dropped me a text last night about how VGK, the start of this season, is reminiscent of season 1. What I feel reminds me of this season, comparatively speaking, to season 1, is the VGK response. Okay, so in season 1, remember, they'd be down a goal and they would rapidly come back. It's taken a little while longer. There's a little bit more of a gap, but they do show that response. And that's what I really like about this team. And some grit. I think that Bruce Cassidy, I'm going to credit him, of course, and of course, Little John as well. But I'm going to credit Bruce Cassidy for the way that he's gotten this team to play prepared, inspired, I think, every night.
Listen, this team, it's a lot of the same players from last year, as far as the top end talent goes. And sometimes a new voice is what it takes, but you just can't put in listen, the 12 or 13, 14, whatever the record is right now, it's good. And would Barry Trotz have achieved the same start? And that's a question you wonder. And there's some other candidates out there. And listen, this is a special situation right now. I don't think it's fair to think any coach would have done this, but what's happening, it's all working right now. And I was pulling up the season 1 log right now, just kind of looking back. They did have an 8-game winning streak that extended from December 14th all the way to January 2nd. Oddly enough, the St. Louis Blues were the team to crack that. And that was, I'm assuming 8 games is the franchise record. If I'm wrong, someone can correct me. So they go for 9, and then it could be 10 against St. Louis on Saturday. But just the first couple games of the season, Dallas, they're losing in the third period. They get a late goal and they wind up winning the game. And you're like, ooh, okay, this is from that moment, you feel something coming. Arizona in overtime, and then the emotional inaugural T-Mobile regular season game, and just crushing the Coyotes. And, like you said, Tony, there's just a different feeling right now, starting with the feelings in the offseason. We didn't know what was going to happen. We felt this was a 500 team out of the chute, and then they kind of figure it out and comfortable, not really fighting for a playoff spot. They would be in that top 3 in the division for most of the season and maybe make a late push or something like that. Just the opposite. They've come out shot like a cannon, just like the season 1 team. They're winning games they shouldn't. They're making comebacks. They're just like you said, it's calm. It's relaxing. I wasn't watching too closely last night, but I was following with the score. I wasn't that worried. You feel they're going to get it, right? You feel it's coming. You don't feel the team even pushing that hard. Going back to last year with DeBoer, obviously, when they get down, you just felt like the team had no chance. There was no chance. It was lazy shots from the perimeter. It was just no excitement. And there's excitement right now, from the opening puck drop to what happens on the off days to the sound clips we get. And it's a lot of fun right now. It's fun. And we haven't had really this since season 1. It's great.
Yeah. And again, the schedule's playing a big role in this, a big part. And I believe, I know I hate to be Mr. Killjoy. Who played the role of Jack Eichel in season 1, and who played?
You can answer that, Tony. You can answer that. You know who it is. I don't need to say it.
Okay. And then who played the role, moreover, of Shea Weber in season 1?
Derek England. That's just like
I'm sorry. I just busted.
But William Karlsson is your William Karlsson is your Jack Eichel, just scoring goals and stuff like that, and scoring. Okay, more goals. Karlsson will probably have more goals in season 1 than Jack Eichel will in season 6, maybe. Who knows? We'll see where the dust settles there, but definitely William Karlsson is your season 1 version of Jack Eichel.
Tomorrow's show, we're going to size things up here. We've got Joe DiBiase joining us from Locked On Sabres.
DiBiase, the money man? The $1 million man?
No, not that guy. But maybe he's related. We can ask him, but he's on WGR Radio and one of the hosts of Locked On Sabres. What can we expect tomorrow? The Buffalo fans, I guess the Sabres lost last night and the fans were booing them off the ice. So this could be a real interesting game. I'm just curious what the reception might be for the Jack Eichel tour number 2.
Hostile. It's hostile. I found a couple of videos on YouTube just from fan reactions from his first game back, and a lot of empty seats, but we'll talk about that tomorrow, I'm sure. And it's going to be hostile. There's animosity towards Eichel, and I get it. It's fine, and I'm sure Jack Eichel gets it. And I hope we can maybe dig up some good stories about Jack Eichel tomorrow with DiBiase, and just kind of talk about the good he's done, because he's done a lot of great things off the ice and stuff like that. And I certainly hope tomorrow's show isn't going to be us hoisting Jack Eichel up on our shoulders, carrying him. And I hope DiBiase's not going to be tearing him down. I don't know him, so I'm curious how that's going to play out. But it's going to be animosity. It's going to be they're going to want this game, and it'll probably be their highest attended game of the season, as it was last year. And more important than the Jack Eichel revenge tour, it needs to be find a way to get number 9.
Yeah, he just needs to block out all
Number
of
9
the
for
noise.
number 9. There you go.
There you go. He does need to block out all of the noise
I
there.
think he will. I think he will.
He said, they already got things started. Of course, Buffalo and Toronto are sister cities, and they already were starting with sending, columnists there to Toronto. Maybe perhaps a much bigger game for Buffalo than it is for the VGK. What pressure do the Golden Knights have going in? I think they could play carefree, truly play carefree hockey. But he said that he wishes the guys in Buffalo the best. I feel like I was part of that organization for a lot of years, made a lot of great relationships. I care about those guys, and I want to see them have success.
So real fast, I know we're starting to get to it here, but there is pressure still. I think the team does have pressure. I think the pressure is why they are performing well right now. Let's say they go to Buffalo, they lose 4-1 tomorrow night. Cassidy is going to say, "Good job on your 8-game winning streak." That's not why this team is where they are right now. This team is where they are because there's pressure, there's accountability, there's no shifts off, there's no days off, there's no practices off right now. This is a machine, if you will, that is running on all cylinders. And I think, Cassidy is a remarkable coach early on. He's doing everything right. And if the team does mail one in, I don't think it's going to be, "Hey guys, okay, fine, sleep it off, burn the tape." No, that's not what's going to happen. There's full accountability. And if something happens, if it's a bad game, we're going to hear about it.
So tomorrow, that's coming up, the crossover again with Locked On Sabres. We thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Our podcast free and available wherever you get your podcast. For my man, Chris Golick, for Shea Weber with his first assist of the season, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. So long for now on Locked On Golden Knights.